here to lighten things, but I'm not really. But I will put on my hiking pack. That's always fun. And it's really a nice thing to carry when it's empty, and in truth, it's not mine. It is Dr. Mancuso's. So I carry her pack on my journey. So I'm going to give a talk about a journey that I took earlier in the fall. I'm going to start with a short video, talk through a few photos, and then work through the bulk of what I really want to say. So here is the opening that captures more than I can. That group also films weddings. So this is the beginning. This is the beginning of day one, right? Getting our packs on, getting set up to go. You get a sense of the people and the, just what everyone's doing, etc. The next photo that I want to show you is just a sampling of a checkpoint. We stopped every 8 miles roughly to take a break, refuel, get water. We drink a ton of water, a lot of Gatorade, and especially by the end of day one, we usually deal with injuries, right? Crazy blisters. One guy tore his meniscus, a couple passed out. So you would sit sort of in line, right, in these little makeshift medical areas, try to air your feet before heading out for another sort of 8 to 10 miles. So this is just a smattering of what's going on at any given time during those 3 days. This one, unfortunately, I have to jump to my phone to tell a quick piece about this photo. At the very end of this hike, which again, I realize I don't have a ton of context for right now, during the last mile, they had photos of folks who had served and had lost their lives during Operation Iraqi Freedom or in Afghanistan. And we came upon a picture of my 5th grade teacher's son, who I'd known had passed away. I'm not in touch with my 5th grade teacher, but I didn't really know much about it. So we took this picture, which is sort of an awkward picture, right? Because we're smiling at a memorial photo, and sent it to her. And she and I have since been in touch, and I wrote to her this week and asked if she could tell me anything about her son. And she wasn't able to write back because this week, every year, she goes to Arlington to visit her son at the cemetery. secretary, so she sent me a few words very, very late last night. So I didn't weave them in, but I just feel like this is the purpose of tomorrow, and I would be remiss if I didn't sort of tell a little bit of who this young man was and is to her. So this is from Mrs. Santarello, my 5th grade teacher, about her son Neil. When he was young, he suffered from anxiety. He worried about aliens coming. He inspired others. He always took the new scouts on their first camping trips at the state championships for forensics for debate. He helped kids from other schools with their speeches. He was an outstanding troop leader. He led by example. He encouraged other cadets in developing their goals. While in Iraq, he took over a platoon that had a screw up for a lieutenant. He shouldn't have been on patrol when he was killed. He helped me take care of his grandfather when he was just 13 years old, helping to care if my dad's diapers needed to be changed. He spent time listening to stories. He loved skiing, and while he had a season pass to Seven Springs and skied at Vail, he also enjoyed skiing at the local Boyce Park. He loved archery. It was getting rid of tension for him. He received the archery range at Boyce as his Eagle Scout, he revived the archery range at Boyce Park as his Eagle Scout project, and the range now bears his name. So that's just an aside that I think, I feel like that is, I cannot stand up here and talk about what I've done without really showing that what I've really tried to do is get to other people and get their stories. And then lastly, this is the last picture that I'm just going to leave up. This is a mile marker. And you can see it is the last mile marker. It's number 1. This was taken by one of the guys on our hike, and he put his bandana over it. We started at mile 70 and worked down to 1. So 1 was a pretty significant mile marker for us. So that's sort of the intro. And now I hope this won't be too long. I realize you've been listening to people for a while now. You have all walked on a trail. You followed a path, both literally and figuratively. Most recently, you followed a path of concrete from a parking lot around the corner and into the Flickinger. But we know that the concrete path, the trail, says little about your actual journey, especially this week. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. That's why you will not be here. And I'm going to try to share the story of my hike, my time spent on a literal trail with you. For the past 2 weeks, I have felt like one of the seniors writing a college essay, trying desperately to clarify the meaning in a significant and humbling experience. But as you all know, meaning can be slippery, and I wake in the middle of the night having found or discovered clarity only to wake in the morning to its shadow. Meaning is gone, or it morphed into something ambiguous and intangible. It snuck out the window, or it slipped down the drain. Almost 2 months ago exactly, this would have been day 2 of the hike. I, along with 60 others, began to hike a 70-mile trail that stretches from the Laurel Mountain of Ohiopyle to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. This hike, called the Crucible, is an event organized by the Veterans Leadership Program of Western Pennsylvania to benefit veterans in the Pittsburgh area. I hiked with a team of 6 women. Under our team name, quote, Take It Outside, we raised over $15,000. If the trail is the metaphor for the journey that I've taken to understand war stories, I've been on it since I first learned about my dad's brother's best friend, Demi. I realize that this sounds very removed. Some of you don't know me. You certainly don't know my dad, let alone my dad's best friend's brother. But my dad's best friend was a fixture of my childhood. He's exactly 1 foot shorter than my dad. My dad's 6'2", Gibby is 5'2". He has gone bald at the exact same rate and in the same way as my father. And he did not have children of his own. He spoiled us. When my dad turned 50, Gibby buried a treasure chest full of coins that my father had given him since they were 3 years old. And he gave my dad a metal detector and no map. He was the coolest.
At some point, I learned that Gibby had a brother, and that his brother had been a helicopter pilot who disappeared after serving in Vietnam. He returned home, but after 2 years told his family he was going away for a while. When Gibby's family worried that they hadn't heard from Debbie, it was too late. And despite searching and hiring a private investigator, Debbie was gone. I did not spend 70 miles specifically reflecting on Demi or my dad's friend Bruce or my father-in-law, Reed's Pop Ed, all folks who served in Vietnam. I did not quote Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried, which many of you know is one of my favorites, or Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, or Wilfred Owen's Still Say It to Quartermass. For those 3 days in September, the Laurel Highlands hiking trail was not a metaphor. It was never ending, and it was way too real. The mission of the Crucible hike is twofold. It's a fundraiser and a dialogue fosterer. Fosterer is not a word. With less than 1% of our population serving in our military, the dialogue, is what's essential. We've learned to say thank you to those who serve. We end the dialogue before it can begin because we don't know how to have it. We don't ask about someone's branch of service or deployments for many, many complex reasons. Aware of civilian and military divisions, we think that we've met our civic duty by honoring a veteran at an NFL game. Don't get me wrong, thank you and honor are good, but these acts, these understandings, are too simple. Tired of the civilian assumption that all veterans are wounded warriors, Jared Soder, veteran of the Army and the Army Reserve, envisioned and created the Crucible hike. He figured that when civilian and military share the trail for 24 miles on Friday, 27 miles on Saturday, and 19 on Sunday, assumptions are stripped away. There's so much physical discomfort that all awkwardness melts. And we all share stories. In the end, we talked about babies and teenagers and spouses and Botox and botany. In short, we shared entertaining delirium. We tapped every granite mile marker that we passed with our hiking poles from 70 to 1. Shared headlamps in the dark, chugged Gatorade, ate caffeinated jelly beans and beef jerky and Pop-Tarts and Utz potato chips. We carried more water than we needed because humidity is blind to strength. We shared a lead and the ice buckets that waited for our feet at the end of each day. We chatted while standing in line to have our blisters or a torn meniscus taped. By the time the event was over, fewer than 30 people of the 60 who began had completed all 70 miles. The trail was, for me, so incredibly complex. In many ways, I hated it. I never knew that I could do it. I could only keep walking because I had no reason not to. The trail nearly broke me over and over and over again. There's nothing romantic about it. But I picked it. I picked this event, the trail and the meta trail. I chose for my physical discomfort to parallel the discomfort that we all face when seeking to understand. And perhaps that's what this journey is all about, our obligation to understand. Where did Demi go? Was he a hero? What about the families that stay? What about my uncle? Who enlists? And what are we asking of our military? Who are we displacing? Who are our refugees? The trail is always a metaphor. You're always on it. But we, especially now, must seek trails that are not, quote, less traveled. We must seek trails that are traveled differently, and then we must walk with and talk to those who are on it. Thank you.